Most people think charisma is something you're born with, but what if it's something you build? How to Become a People Magnet by Marc Reklau is more than a self-help title. It's a step-by-step blueprint for creating stronger relationships, deeper trust, and a presence people actually remember. In this video, we're breaking down the real skills that make someone magnetic. And no, it's not about being the loudest in the room. It's about listening better, showing up with warmth, and building a reputation that makes people feel drawn to you, not because you're perfect, but because you're present. If you've ever felt overlooked, misunderstood, or just want to build better connections in your personal and professional life, this is the video you need. Let's dive in. Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible? Or maybe you've tried to connect with people, friends, coworkers, even family, and felt like your words just didn't land. The truth is, success in almost every part of life depends less on what you know and more on how you make people feel. That's what this book is about. How to Become a People Magnet by Marc Reklau isn't filled with cheesy tricks or fake charm. It's a roadmap to real connection. 62 small changes that, when practiced daily, can completely transform how others respond to you. It all starts with presence. Not how you look, but how you make people feel when you're with them. The best communicators don't talk the most. They listen the best. They don't dominate conversations. They make the other person feel heard. One of the first principles Reklau shares is simple but powerful. If you want to be liked, be genuinely interested in others. That means asking questions and actually caring about the answers. Most people don't do that. They ask questions just waiting for their turn to talk. But when you flip that, when you lean in, remember people's names, follow up on something they mentioned last week, it builds connection instantly. Think of it like this. Every person walks around with an invisible sign that reads, "Make me feel important." When you treat someone like they matter, they remember you and they're drawn to you. This isn't manipulation, it's emotional intelligence, and it's rare.
Reklau also emphasizes one of the most underrated skills in communication: smiling. It sounds basic, but most people underestimate what a smile does to disarm tension, build trust, and open conversation. A genuine smile, not a forced fake one, communicates warmth. It says, "You're safe with me." And in a world filled with judgment and comparison, being around someone who feels safe is magnetic. Then there's body language. Most of what we communicate isn't in our words, it's in our tone, our posture, our eye contact. Are your arms crossed? Do you make eye contact when someone speaks? Do you nod to show you're listening, or stare blankly waiting for your turn? Reklau shows that changing your posture from closed off to open can completely shift how people experience you. You're not just seen, you're felt. Another core lesson: don't try to impress people. Focus on making them feel good about themselves. That one shift changes everything. Instead of talking about your accomplishments, find something admirable in them and say it. When you build others up, your confidence becomes contagious, and ironically, you become more impressive by not trying to be. Reklau also dives into the power of appreciation. Want to be unforgettable? Be the person who notices what others overlook. Say thank you for the small things. Compliment people on their effort, not just their results. Recognize someone's contribution even when no one else does. We live in a culture of criticism, where people are quick to point out what's wrong and slow to acknowledge what's right. Flip that, and you'll be someone they want to be around.
But connection isn't just about being nice. It's also about being real. Reklau warns about trying to be liked by everyone. That's a losing game. People-pleasing creates resentment, both in others and in yourself. Instead, the most magnetic people are authentic. They set boundaries. They say no. They're kind, but not fake. Respect doesn't come from always agreeing. It comes from consistency. When people know what to expect from you, they feel safer around you. And confidence? It doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being secure in silence. Reklau shows that you don't have to dominate to lead. You don't have to overshare to connect. The most powerful presence is someone who's comfortable in their own skin. Someone who walks in a room and doesn't need attention because their energy already draws it. There's also a section about energy, not in a spiritual sense, but in how you show up. Are you positive? Do you complain a lot? Do you gossip? People may not always remember what you said, but they'll never forget how they felt after spending time with you. Reklau encourages us to audit our energy. Are you the kind of person that makes people feel better or worse after 5 minutes? And let's talk about empathy, the quiet superpower. The ability to step into someone else's world and feel what they feel. Reklau says empathy isn't about solving problems, it's about presence. When someone shares something vulnerable, don't fix it, just be there. That kind of listening builds trust faster than any solution ever will. He also challenges you to drop your phone, not forever, but in conversations. Eye contact has become rare. Real attention has become a gift. Be the person who gives it fully. Put the phone down. Look people in the eye. Listen like there's no one else in the world. That's rare, and rare is magnetic.
So how do you become someone people want to follow, work with, or simply be around? Marc Reklau says, start by being consistent. People are drawn to reliability. It's not flashy, but it's rare. When your words match your actions, when you show up on time, when you follow through, you earn something deeper than attention. You earn trust. And trust is the glue that holds real relationships together. Not charisma, not coolness, just being the kind of person others can count on. In a world of flakiness and false promises, showing up consistently makes you magnetic by default. Another powerful principle: learn to apologize quickly, sincerely, not as weakness, but as confidence. Most people double down when they mess up. They defend, blame, deflect. But magnetic people own their mistakes. They say, I was wrong, and fix it. And strangely, that kind of humility makes people respect you more, not less. Because nobody's perfect, but those who can admit it without shame stand out as rare.
Reklau also emphasizes the idea of making deposits into people's emotional bank accounts. Every kind gesture, every compliment, every time you remember someone's birthday or ask how their mom is doing, that's a deposit. Every broken promise, every sarcastic jab, every moment of coldness, that's a withdrawal. You want to be magnetic? Keep the account full. Be generous in small ways. Over time, people won't just like you, they'll trust you with their story. One underrated skill he points to is curiosity. Genuinely wanting to learn about others, their ideas, their dreams, even their weird hobbies. When you're curious, people feel valuable. Most of the time, we're so busy being interesting that we forget to be interested. Flip that. Ask better questions. Listen longer than usual. Remember details and bring them up later. It's not about being nosy. It's about showing that someone's inner world matters to you. That's powerful. And then there's gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a mindset. It's a habit. Reklau shows how gratitude changes your energy, which changes your relationships. When you're thankful, you radiate positivity. People sense that, and they're drawn to it. Grateful people complain less. They compare less. They uplift more. You want to stand out? Practice gratitude out loud. Tell people you appreciate them. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it. And Reklau also urges us to drop judgment. Judging others silently or out loud pushes people away. You might not say anything, but people feel it. They sense when you're sizing them up, correcting them in your head, or waiting to disagree. And the second they feel judged, the connection shuts off. But when you're open, when you accept people as they are, you become safe. And safe is powerful.
Another key: stop interrupting. Let people finish their thoughts. So many conversations are really two people waiting for their turn to speak. But when you truly listen without rushing to respond, people feel seen. Reklau shows that holding space for someone else is more magnetic than any clever line you could ever say. Listening is the new superpower, and like all powers, it grows with practice. And don't underestimate encouragement. One word of belief in someone's dream can light them up for weeks. When you believe in people, even just a little, they start to believe in themselves. Be the one who says, "I think you can." It costs you nothing, and it makes you unforgettable. Reklau also shares a mindset shift that flips the whole game. Stop trying to be interesting. Start trying to be interested. Stop worrying about how you look. Start focusing on how you make others feel. Stop trying to prove your value. Start showing others their value. It's not about shrinking. It's about redirecting your attention. When you shift the spotlight off yourself, paradoxically, it finds its way back to you. And finally, he reminds us that all of this, every habit, every strategy, comes down to one thing: practice. Nobody is born a people magnet. These aren't traits, they're skills. And skills are built. You don't have to be the funniest, smartest, or best-looking person in the room. You just have to be the one who listens, respects, supports, and stays consistent. That's it. The truth is, people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for presence, for warmth, for someone who makes them feel better about themselves, not worse. When you become that person, you don't chase connections, you attract them. So if you've ever felt invisible, start here. Not by changing who you are, but by becoming more of the person people already need in their life. And when that shift happens, you won't just become more likable, you'll become unforgettable.
One of the most underrated secrets of magnetic people? They make others feel smart, confident, capable. Marc Reklau explains that people are drawn to those who elevate them, not by giving empty praise, but by highlighting what's already good in them. It's the compliment that's specific, the encouragement that feels earned, the look that says, "You've got this." People don't forget those moments, because in a world that constantly reminds us where we fall short, the person who reminds us of our worth, that's rare. Reklau also dives into the trap of comparison. If you want to repel people fast, compare everything: your stories, your successes, your problems. Magnetic people don't compete in conversation, they connect. If someone shares a win, don't immediately top it with your own. If someone's vulnerable, don't steal the moment with your own pain. Hold space, celebrate their success, sit with their struggle. You don't need to relate to connect. Sometimes, all they need is for you to witness their moment, not outshine it. And then there's the power of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is magnetic. Reklau says it clearly: when you speak about something with passion, energy, and excitement, it becomes contagious. Whether you're talking about a hobby, an idea, or just your day, when your face lights up, so do theirs. It doesn't mean being fake or loud, it means being alive in what you say. People want to be around energy that lifts them. Be that energy. Let your joy show. Enthusiasm isn't noise, it's presence with color.
Another powerful strategy? Practice forgiveness. Not just for others, for yourself. Reklau talks about the emotional weight people carry from past mistakes, past rejections, past failures. That energy bleeds into conversations, into posture, into presence. When you haven't forgiven yourself, you carry shame. And shame makes you hide, emotionally, socially, energetically. But when you forgive yourself, you show up whole, confident, available. Let go of what no longer serves you. It's not weakness, it's clarity. He also addresses self-talk. The way you talk to yourself becomes the way you show up to others. If your inner voice is critical, doubtful, judgmental, it'll show. You'll hesitate, apologize too much, or overcompensate. Reklau says, change the conversation in your head and you change your energy. Speak to yourself the way you would a close friend. With patience, with encouragement, with belief. You can't fake real self-respect, but you can build it, one thought at a time. Magnetic people also understand one subtle truth. Silence isn't awkward, it's space. Reklau shows that when you're comfortable with silence, people relax. They stop feeling rushed. They open up. You don't need to fill every gap in conversation. You don't need to always have the next thing ready. Be present. Let the pause breathe. Sometimes the silence says more than words ever could. Another powerful strategy? Practice forgiveness. Not just for others, for yourself. Reklau talks about the emotional weight people carry from past mistakes, past rejections, past failures. That energy bleeds into conversations, into posture, into presence. When you haven't forgiven yourself, you carry shame. And shame makes you hide, emotionally, socially, energetically. But when you forgive yourself, you show up whole, confident, available. Let go of what no longer serves you. It's not weakness, it's clarity. He also addresses self-talk. The way you talk to yourself becomes the way you show up to others. If your inner voice is critical, doubtful, judgmental, it'll show. You'll hesitate, apologize too much, or overcompensate. Reklau says, change the conversation in your head and you change your energy. Speak to yourself the way you would a close friend. With patience, with encouragement, with belief. You can't fake real self-respect, but you can build it, one thought at a time. Magnetic people also understand one subtle truth. Silence isn't awkward, it's space. Reklau shows that when you're comfortable with silence, people relax. They stop feeling rushed. They open up. You don't need to fill every gap in conversation. You don't need to always have the next thing ready. Be present. Let the pause breathe. Sometimes the silence says more than words ever could. Another powerful strategy? Practice forgiveness. Not just for others, for yourself. Reklau talks about the emotional weight people carry from past mistakes, past rejections, past failures. That energy bleeds into conversations, into posture, into presence. When you haven't forgiven yourself, you carry shame. And shame makes you hide, emotionally, socially, energetically. But when you forgive yourself, you show up whole, confident, available. Let go of what no longer serves you. It's not weakness, it's clarity. He also addresses self-talk. The way you talk to yourself becomes the way you show up to others. If your inner voice is critical, doubtful, judgmental, it'll show. You'll hesitate, apologize too much, or overcompensate. Reklau says, change the conversation in your head and you change your energy. Speak to yourself the way you would a close friend. With patience, with encouragement, with belief. You can't fake real self-respect, but you can build it, one thought at a time. Magnetic people also understand one subtle truth. Silence isn't awkward, it's space. Reklau shows that when you're comfortable with silence, people relax. They stop feeling rushed. They open up. You don't need to fill every gap in conversation. You don't need to always have the next thing ready. Be present. Let the pause breathe. Sometimes the silence says more than words ever could.
And then there's humor. Reklau reminds us, don't take yourself so seriously. Humor disarms. It invites connection. It shows confidence. You don't need to be a stand-up comedian, just be willing to laugh, especially at yourself. When people see that you're lighthearted, it makes them feel safe. It gives them permission to drop their armor. Laughter, even in small doses, bonds people faster than logic or credentials ever could. But it all comes back to one thing: showing up with intention. Every interaction is an opportunity, not to get something, but to give something. A smile, a kind word, a pause, a compliment, a listening ear. Those are the moments people remember. Not the perfect outfit, not the impressive story, but how you made them feel when no one else was really paying attention.
At this point, the message is clear. Being magnetic isn't about tricks or pretending to be someone else. It's about showing up as your best self consistently, intentionally, and with heart. Reklau reminds us that people are drawn to those who are both confident and kind, strong but humble, clear in their values but open to others. That's what makes someone unforgettable. And here's the surprising truth. You don't need to be liked by everyone to be magnetic. In fact, trying to please everyone is one of the fastest ways to lose your spark. Reklau encourages you to stop trying to fit in everywhere and start standing out where it matters. Speak your truth kindly. Say no when needed. Set boundaries without guilt. The more you respect yourself, the more others will too. He also speaks about resilience. How you handle rejection says more about your inner strength than how you handle praise. Magnetic people aren't immune to criticism. They've just learned not to carry it like a wound. They listen, learn, and move forward. Because they're not trying to be perfect, they're trying to grow. And growth is always more attractive than perfection. At this point, the message is clear. Being magnetic isn't about tricks or pretending to be someone else. It's about showing up as your best self consistently, intentionally, and with heart. Reklau reminds us that people are drawn to those who are both confident and kind, strong but humble, clear in their values but open to others. That's what makes someone unforgettable. And here's the surprising truth. You don't need to be liked by everyone to be magnetic. In fact, trying to please everyone is one of the fastest ways to lose your spark. Reklau encourages you to stop trying to fit in everywhere and start standing out where it matters. Speak your truth kindly. Say no when needed. Set boundaries without guilt. The more you respect yourself, the more others will too. He also speaks about resilience. How you handle rejection says more about your inner strength than how you handle praise. Magnetic people aren't immune to criticism. They've just learned not to carry it like a wound. They listen, learn, and move forward. Because they're not trying to be perfect, they're trying to grow. And growth is always more attractive than perfection. Then there's the way you treat people when no one's watching. The way you speak to a waiter, a cleaner, a stranger, that reveals your character. And character is what people feel. You can't fake it, but you can strengthen it. Kindness in private moments is where true magnetism is built. It creates a reputation that speaks before you enter the room. And don't forget generosity, not just with money or gifts, but with attention, time, and encouragement. Reklau says to be generous with your spirit. Help people without keeping score. Share ideas, cheer others on. Refer a friend, offer insight. Celebrate their wins even when you're still waiting for yours. Generosity creates trust, and trust pulls people closer. Reklau also highlights one final game changer. Learn to be fully present. Most people live distracted, heads down, eyes glazed, mind already in the next task. But when you're truly present with someone, listening with your whole body, responding with full attention, it feels like a rare gift. People don't get that often. And when they do, they never forget it. Be the person who gives presence. It might be the most magnetic thing you ever do.
So, how do you become a people magnet? You don't fake it. You build it, one habit, one mindset, one moment at a time. You listen deeply. You smile often. You lift others. You protect your peace. You grow through rejection. You connect without competing. You show up with warmth. You speak with honesty. And you practice every single day, not because you want to be liked, but because you want to live with intention. And when you do that long enough, you stop chasing relationships. You start attracting the ones that matter. That's the power of human connection, and that's how to become a people magnet.
You don't need to be the most charming, the funniest, or the best-looking person in the room. You just need to show up consistently, honestly, and with the intention to connect. How to become a people magnet isn't about impressing people, it's about making them feel seen, safe, and valued. And that kind of connection, it's more powerful than any trick or tactic. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. Real influence doesn't come from standing out, it comes from reaching in. Practice the habits, show up with heart, and soon you won't just attract people, you'll keep the ones who matter. Thanks for watching. If this helped you, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs it, and I'll see you in the next one.